Hello, and welcome to Onstage at the BACP. As always, thank you so much for choosing to invite us into your home, your office, or wherever you are. Today, I have some members of the BACP board here backing me up. Say hello. Hello. Good job. All right. Today, we have another special guest, but before I get to that, I wanted to remind you that the board and I have decided that we actually think maybe we might possibly be able to reopen our doors and do some live productions here on the stage later this year. We're not sure when just yet, but we're starting to look forward to that. So we want to know what you want to look at. What do you want to see as performances? Keep it family friendly. Be sure that you send those ideas to bacpplays@gmail.com, or you can leave them in the comments below. Let us know, because we want to make sure that we're giving you what you want to see. Keep it family friendly, though, remember that. All right, now on to our special guest. This week's guest comes to us from Happy Hands Education Center. Please join me in welcoming Jan Pride. Welcome to the Broken Arrow Community Playhouse. Tell us a little bit about Happy Hands and just tell us your story.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name's Jan Pride, and I'm the executive director at Happy Hands Education Center. And Happy Hands Education Center is an early childhood development center for children that are deaf and hard of hearing, children that have really serious communication needs at the very most critical point in their life, from birth to 5. Oh, sure. In fact, research tells us that from birth to age 12 months is the most important time for the brain to receive language. If you don't receive language, you don't produce language.
Exactly.
And so for children that are born deaf or with a significant hearing loss, that first year of life is critical. Happy Hands is here to help those children. My experience was I was an educator for the deaf in the public schools, and I started my career teaching high school students. And unfortunately, at that time, and even still to some degree, we're graduating seniors, deaf seniors from high school with a 3rd or 4th or maybe a 5th grade reading level, which is just not enough. The newspaper's written at a 5th grade and above level. Most job technical manuals, those kinds of things, are written at a much higher level. And so we saw that many of our deaf adults had a reading deficit, had a language deficit. And when you look into the whys for that, why do we really stress that children need to be able to read by the 3rd grade? Because in those early years, they're learning to read, and then from 3rd grade on, they're reading to learn.
Right.
But how does a child get ready to read? They have to have those early years from birth until they enter school with language-rich environments.
Right.
So Happy Hands provides the education, the therapies, speech and language therapy, deaf education teachers, and then also to round it out, think about a parent. Most parents now have to go back to work after their baby's born. We have many, either single parent or both parents working. And so where does that child go? To a babysitter or a child care center? But if they're put in a situation where nobody can communicate with them, they're not getting the language input that they need while mom and dad are working.
Right.
So Happy Hands is also licensed to provide the child care. So we have that wraparound program.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, from the very beginning, a child needs to have the language being put into them. And so that happens from the very first diaper change and feeding and interacting with that baby, teaching them that they need to watch to be able to communicate, that they need to be able to pay attention, giving them the words for all the things that happen in their day, whether it's a feeding routine or reading a book or whatever it is, giving them that language. And that's what Happy Hands does in a very specialized way.
Awesome. So if, say a parent has a child that has a learning not a learning, a hearing disability, or a doctor has a child that they think, oh, this kiddo is maybe not. How does someone access your facility and your services?
Yeah, absolutely. Years ago when I started in the field, there was no test developed to test a baby's hearing. And thankfully that has changed. In the very late 90s, the early 2000s, the test was developed that could test a baby's hearing at birth in the hospital.
Wow.
So before your baby leaves the hospital, they've taken him or her into the nursery, they've done the hearing test, and it's with the little electrodes that go on the head, and the baby should be calm or sleeping at the time, and they present the sound waves, and then they can measure. It's not very definitive, but it is a pass-fail, and it is a screen that is very reliable. So if nothing's wrong, you might not hear anything about it. But if your baby fails that test before they leave the hospital, then you're referred on to an audiologist for further testing. And so thankfully today, babies that are born with a hearing loss, usually we catch it at the hospital. It doesn't mean that the follow-up is always great, because then there really is a piece that the parent needs to follow up with, to do. But if it's caught in the pediatrician's office, if it's caught by the parent, just noticing that their child doesn't startle to noises, then they can call Happy Hands. They can call their pediatrician and get the ball rolling. 20, 30 years ago, even pediatricians didn't recognize hearing loss in a lot of babies until they were 2 or 3 or 4 years old. And those were the kids that we were getting at school, and we were seeing they are so far behind.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. So it can be self-referral, or it can be a referral from a doctor.
Yes.
And so then they come to your facility, and tell us where that is.
So we're at 88th and Garnett, just close to St. Francis South.
Oh, okay.
So right on the line of Broken Arrow and Tulsa, close to highways. Our address is 8801 South Garnett. And once the child is referred to us, of course, we're going to want to see the audiology report. So the visit to the audiologist, if it hasn't happened yet, needs to be done. We're going to make some other referrals for some community services, but we're the place to find the education, the child care, the therapy, all of that under one roof.
Got it. And do you work with the schools, the public schools as well, or is yours just self-contained?
Well, we are a nonprofit, private Christian organization. But we know that these children are going to be transitioning for kindergarten or first grade, typically into the public school. And so we do work very closely with the public schools in our area, with Sooner Start, which provides some services in the preschool years. We will make some referrals to other agencies if the child has maybe additional disabilities that they need different kinds of services for. So we're kind of connected to all of them. Our teachers and our staff are very, very highly trained. We have deaf educators and teachers with degrees in counseling and masters in family science and those kinds of things. And so you're in with a great group of people that knows how to get you the services that you need.
Right, and it sounds like a very comprehensive service too, because as you said, mentioned the family, and I thought, yeah, the whole family is affected by this. So what ages do you serve?
We serve from 6 weeks through kindergarten.
Okay.
And like you said, family education, family services is super important for this group. For these kids, 94% of children that are born deaf or born with a significant hearing loss are born into families who have no experience with deafness. Yeah. Nobody else in their family. They maybe have never even encountered a deaf person before. And deafness and hearing loss is a very invisible disability. We miss it in the general public. We don't just see that when we're out and about or out shopping. We don't notice those things. And so it comes as a real shock to parents. So that family support and that family education is very, very important. In fact, at Happy Hands, we say that we educate the child, we nurture the family, and we build hope. Those are our 3 tenets. And to nurture a family means to provide the best education for the child. So we teach sign language classes, we get parents connected, especially during this time, with a lot of online resources for that. And we provide not just sign language and literacy, but counseling type, and what about my child has additional disabilities and how are they going to support themselves, or what kind of legacy am I going to leave for them? So we have financial aid available to parents so that they can plan for the future for that child. Just lots and lots of resources to make sure that that family is nurtured, so that the child has the best that they can get.
Yeah, so it's so much more than just the hands teaching sign language. During this pandemic, I know that it's affected all of us in different ways, but as you were talking about them being able to see us talking with masks. How has that impacted?
It's really, really hard. But we're committed to being safe. So when we had to close for a short time last spring, just like everybody else did. But when we reopened in May, we changed some of our policies and procedures. We require masks for adults any place in the building except in the teacher's own classroom. For the children, we encourage masks, obviously not for the very, very young children.
True.
But we encourage them to wear their masks when they're with anybody other than their immediate classroom. So inside the classroom, they're a family. They can take their masks off. One of the great things about what we do is we sign everything that we say. So if the masks are on, we can still communicate. But it's better to have the masks off for communication. We also have the masks that have the clear windows in them.
I wondered about that.
Yeah, they fog up, but they still work, and and the face shields that are clear. So we're doing all of that.
Right.
We changed some procedures about who can come in the building, how children are dropped off and picked up. We're still getting children out of the car and then delivering them to the car rather than the parents coming in the building. Hopefully that'll change soon.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I know facial expression is so important in American Sign Language. We've all gotten to see the people who are doing the sign interpreting during news conferences, and the expressions are part of my favorite part of the news conferences.
Yeah.
So 2021, anything new coming up? I'm hoping to get back to a little bit more normal. Tell me kind of what your plans are.
Yeah, it has been a very different year in so many respects. But we are looking forward to inviting people back into the building. Probably that's been the thing that we have missed the most. We're used to giving tours and introducing the community to our organization. We're funded about 70 to 80% by donations and grants and fundraisers and things like that, so that the burden of the tuition is not on the families that are already struggling. Meeting the new people in the community has been more difficult. So 2021, we're hoping that by June, we will have in-person tours again. We will have volunteers back in the building, and parents will be able to come in and drop their children off and spend more time with the teachers. So that's our goal right now. We're going to ease into it. We've learned an awful lot, though, during this year. We've learned how resilient we are and how much we need to teach resiliency to the children. We've learned a lot about online stuff. We've done virtual tours and virtual parent meetings, and we've discovered a whole realm of virtual resources that are helpful to the parents. It's just that nothing compares to the in-person, and especially with young children.
Right.
They need you to be present and in person.
They do. And even though you can sign via video, it's just not that same.
It's not the same.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely.
I have learned so much, and I know that our audience has too. Anything coming up fundraising wise that people could help you out with?
Yes, and since this is the Broken Arrow Playhouse, and in Broken Arrow, and we're super excited to say for the second year in a row, we are hosting the Supreme Lending Happy Hands Classic at Indian Springs Golf Club here in Broken Arrow. It will be the week of June the 15th. And that is a pro-am golf tournament where amateurs can play with a pro on the day of the charity tournament. And then the rest of the week is the pro tournament. So we'll have about 150 or more pro golfers in the Broken Arrow area that week. And the proceeds of the charity tournament come back to Happy Hands. Those proceeds help to pay for scholarships for kids.
So if someone wants to, is there information like on your website or something like that about the Pro-Am?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they can go to our website, happyhands.org. We'll start posting things on our Facebook page as well.
Okay.
And there'll be information through the the CVB, the Convention Visitors Bureau, with Broken Arrow, as well as Supreme Lending, who's our title sponsor.
Awesome. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Also, if someone wanted to come and tour your facility, provided you do get to open in June, just give you a call.
Yes.
At your phone number?
Yes,
Okay.
they're absolutely welcome to call us, 918-893-4800. Ask about our tours. We've been doing virtual tours, and we can set that up for an individual or a small group. And then, like I say, as soon as we start having the in-person tours again, they'll be posted on our Facebook page as well. We love for people to learn about Happy Hands.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Well, thank you again so much for coming, for all the information, and maybe we'll go out to the golf tournament and do a trip out there.
That'd be great.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I hope that you enjoyed meeting Jan and learning so much more about Happy Hands. What an amazing organization. That's all we have for this week. Be sure that you remember daylight savings time starts this weekend, Saturday night into Sunday morning, so turn those clocks ahead 1 hour. Thanks again for inviting us into your home or wherever you are. We hope that you'll invite us back again next week for more On Stage at the BACP. Bye.